Jean, good afternoon. How are you?
I'm well, thank you, and how are you?
I'm very well. Now, you've just celebrated a birthday, haven't you?
I have, yes.
Right. Is it okay for me to ask you the number?
Of course, yes, it's only a number, and that's 88.
You see, that's incredible, isn't it? 88. And I mean, look at you. You look like a spring chicken. Sweetheart.
Oh, thank you, that's very kind. I've been very lucky.
Why do you think that is?
Well, I haven't had a husband for a start.
Whoa. You reckon that's the reason being?
No, not really. I think it's in the genes. Yeah, my parents they always looked younger than they were. And I'm very fortunate. I haven't had, I've had one or two illnesses, but nothing really major. And I've had no children to worry about. It just never happened, I suppose. People say, why do you get married? Yeah, well, I was engaged, been engaged twice. Engaged twice, and it never went any further for some reason. Because I'm a bit of a bossy bitch. I'm well known for it, I really am. I can remember when I worked at the dental practice, people were frightened to death of me. And I think it was because I used to wear half glasses, half-rimmed glasses.
Yeah.
And I used to look over my glasses, and I used to frighten people to death. And it wasn't until I retired I retired when I was 72. And when I went to my hairdresser's, there was a lady there, and she said, "You used to work at the dental practice, didn't you?" I said, "Yes, I did." She said, "You used to frighten me to death." I said, "Why?" She said, "Because you used to look over your glasses at me, and it was like being at school." I said, "Do you know, I never knew I had that effect on people." She said, so Nolene, my hairdresser, said, "Oh, you did. Believe me, people have said that. That Jean Robinson is
Well, here's a story for you.
Yeah.
I can remember coming down there
Yeah.
and having an appointment, and that door was always closed, wasn't it?
Yes.
It was always closed.
Yes.
So I knocked on the door, and nothing. I thought, oh no. Then, because you could actually just see in and get a glimpse.
Yes, you could. Yep.
Yeah. You were at the desk, down, where the knock came, yeah, you just looked up. And it was just so, why are you knocking on my door? Do you know what I did?
Yeah.
Instead of going in, I pulled my own teeth out. No way I was going in.
You see, that's the effect I had on people.
Yeah. Bless. Let's go back to the beginning, yeah? So, where were you born?
I was born in Carlton Road, number 11 Carlton Road, Hortonville, New York, of course. And I was born just before the war. I was born in 36. But I can remember we used to have to, when the war started, we used to go to the Hortonville Infant School, and because they had bunkers there. And I can remember having a red siren suit and carrying my little, you had your little gas mask. I can remember that so well. I had it in a little box. And we all used to scurry there until it was over. And that's the only... Oh, and I can remember as well, I think they used to call them Dougal bugs or something. And it's yes, and that was after my sister was born. She was born 8 years after me. And I can remember Mum taking us both to neighbours next door, because the lady next door was on her own, and we used to go under her kitchen table, hide under her kitchen table, until these Dougal bugs... I can't remember what they were like, but I know they were bad. And they used to come whizzing over, and so we used to hide under her table. It was quite, frightening at the time, but then exciting, because we're under somebody else's table.
What makes you laugh is the doodle bugs would be sent across, yeah?
Yeah.
You'd hear them. It's when they went silent.
Yes, that's it. They're not going to, they're not going to land.
They just fall from
but
the
sky. noise from them, it was amazing, really.
So what was it like growing up round in Newark?
It was great. It was great. We had very good parents, and we used to play in the street, hopscotch, and the kids don't do that today. Skipping rope, a whip and top. We used to colour the tops of it. It was wonderful. Mind you, my main thing was going door knocking. I loved door knocking.
The game door knock.
The game door knocking, going knocking on people's doors, and I misjudged it one day because a lady came shooting out. It was faster, I think, than any runner I know, and she collared me. And she turned out, she got by the scruff of the neck, and she turned me around and she said, "Don't you ever come to my door again." And first time in my life I was absolutely, in fact I think I nearly wet myself because I was so scared. So I never did it again. So then I always liked playing with the lads. They were rougher, I loved it. I was a tomboy, really.
Really?
And they used to throw me through the hedge. Oh, yeah. Then they used to throw me through hedges and all sorts. I loved it, rough and tumble. Yeah, it was great.
No, don't.
Yeah, that was my teenage, well, not my early years. And then I finished up going to Mount School.
Now, Mount, let's put this into context. Mount was the middle school, wasn't it?
Yes.
Before you went up to, because it was a girls' school, am I right?
No, it's both.
Was it?
It's here where I live now.
Ah, okay.
Mount School. For some reason, I came to. All my friends were coming to Mount School, so I said to Mum, "This is where I'd like to go to Mount School." So she sorted it out anyway, and I went through the juniors and the seniors here. And I tried to get into the high school, but I passed the first test, but that was it. No more. I was useless because I messed about too much. I didn't concentrate enough. I was falling about all the time. I was terrible. I wasn't a good pupil at all. I used to get more hits when I got home because I used to get hit by the caned. I used to get caned by the teacher for all sorts of things. I got even worse when I got home. When I told Mum I'd been caned, that was it. Another one.
Who was worse, Mum or Dad? For the old corporal punishment?
Mum.
Oh, really?
Mum. Yeah. Well, she was the boss. Oh, she was certainly the boss, Mum was. But my mother was wonderful. She used to go up and down the street. You don't do it today, do they? She goes up and down. She used to go up and down the street helping people, cooking for people if they were poorly.
Yeah, that's not happening.
And that doesn't happen anymore.
No.
No, it doesn't. It's
Yeah, I mean, you're right. It's such a sad case. I mean, all our morals, everything, all thrown out the window.
Yeah.
We don't care. You look after number one.
Yeah, nobody cares anymore, do they?
No.
It's a changed world, and it's not a good one, I don't think.
So when you finished high school...
I didn't go to high school.
Oh no, sorry. I don't mean to harp on that, yeah. You didn't get in, did you? No, I apologise.
No, I left school at 15.
Oh right, and then where did you go?
I went straight to work at Ransom and Miles in the office.
Yeah.
And I can remember we weren't allowed to wear makeup. Mum and Dad wouldn't let me wear makeup.
Oh.
But I used to buy it, a bit of blusher and some powder and lipstick. And I had plaits right down my back. I cycled to work, and on my way I used to take my plaits out and just tie the ribbon around my hair and put some lipstick on and a bit of powder and blusher and cycle to work. Coming back, I had to plait my hair again and take the makeup off because I didn't go home like it. So I was there for 2 years, and then an uncle of mine worked at Warwickshire Richardson's. He was a transport manager, and he said, "There's a good job going here." So I applied and got it. So I was there for 7 years. Then another uncle who worked at Worthington Simpson said, "There's a good job going here, Jean, if you're interested." So I went and got it, and I was there for 30-something years, I think. No, I wasn't. Wait a minute. I was 21. Yes, I was 21. Then I left when I was 40. Yeah, I went to Worthington Simpsons when I was 21, left when I was 40. And had Jean's Pantry on Cartergate with Marjorie Smithson.
Really?
Yes, yeah. And anyway, I loved it. I really loved it. We got quite some good... Can't think of the word.
What, clientele?
That's the word I was fighting for. It's not one I use very often. Yeah. Yes, we had some good people, and they used to come every week, every day, some of them. In fact, one of them was Robert Doncaster. His mother used to bring him when he was home from school. She used to bring him in. He used to love his hot chocolate and a chocolate eclair. He loved it, Robert. There were good days, really good days, and then Margie decided to end it because they put the lease up so much, and she said it's not worth it. So then I went to work for John Pountney at Skegness Pottery.
I remember, yeah.
Yeah, I went to Skegness and learned all about the Skegness Pottery. And he opened a shop in Lincoln, and I ran that shop for 7 years. And then, but I'm missing out the Operatic Society.
We'll get to that in a minute. Let's
okay.
Yeah, then we'll go back to that. 'Cause that's a whole different ball game, that thing.
Anyway, I think I was 7 years at Skegness Pottery, and I loved it. I ran the coffee shop upstairs and the pottery shop. And one day, this young man came in. It'd be about 4 o'clock, and he said, oh, excuse me, I'm looking, I rather like your pottery, but I'm looking for a coffee set with big cups, not mugs. I said, oh, well, have a look round, you'll probably find something. He was looking, and then he said, can I go upstairs? I said, yes, there's more up there if you want to go. So I went up. This was about 4-ish, I think, when he came in. Anyway, he came down and he said, I think I've found what I want, but can I come back to you on it? I said, well, yes, of course you can. He said, what time do you close? So I said, oh, 5:30. What time does the coffee shop close? I said, 5 o'clock. Oh, right. 2 days later, 5 o'clock, in he comes. He said, I've decided I like the brown set, but can I just go and have a look at it upstairs? I said, yes, of course I can. So he went upstairs, and then he came down and said, yes, that's the one. I think it's called Calypso. I said, correct. Very good. Yes, it's called Calypso. And it's got the bit. So I said, if you just wait a minute, I'll go and see if there's one boxed up in the storeroom. So I had to walk the length of the shop to the storeroom. And I was bent down looking for this certain box of Calypso. It's a tea set. And I could feel crunch, crunch behind me. I thought, hello. So I picked the box up and turned round. And as I did, it came and grabbed me, you know, where he shouldn't have done.
Grabbed your nunu?
Yes, yes. And I said, get your hands off me, you dirty little bugger. And I pushed past him, and he said, I really fancy you. And he came running after me, but he got me by my knickers and hauled me to the counter, and I was still holding the box of pottery. So I just turned round and swiped him with the box, and off he shot. I was very lucky, really, I suppose. So anyway, I rang John Pountney. I said, John, I've just had a man in. I said, I don't know what to do about this, because he actually got hold of me where he shouldn't have done it. He said, report it to police straight away. So I rang the police, and the next morning, an inspector came round, a gorgeous-looking chap. And I found out his name was Peter Wilkinson. Anyway, he said, is there somewhere where we can go? And he got a female policewoman with him.
Oh, right.
I said, yes, I've got a little office. So he said, so I got somebody to come downstairs, look after the desk downstairs. And we went into this little room. He says, now, can you tell me exactly what happened? He said, can you describe it? So I went through all the motions about him grabbing my knickers, and both of them were falling about. He said, this is better than going to the pictures, this is. And they were just laughing the socks off. I said, I'm glad you find it funny. He said, actually, he said, that's very, very good. He said, we'll come back to you on it, but we'll get cracking with it straight away. And they got the young lad.
All right.
Yes, they got him in, what was the big store there? It wasn't Debenhams, but anyway, they caught him. And then I finished up going out with the police inspector for a couple of years. He was really dishy. In fact, he was too nice, actually. But that's another story. And then, anyway, I left Skegness Pottery because my dad was taken ill. Oh. So I went home, and then I worked for Chris Grant in a sports shop. And that was good. Until I think there's another sports shop open, because they had Grant and Greens, and they had this one.
K&H, wasn't it?
Yes, and it just killed so that finished. So then that's when I went to the dental practice, and I was there for 20 odd years before I retired.
It's been a varied old...
Oh yes, I've been everywhere, man.
Yeah.
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 Who'd have thought?
Been interesting. I enjoyed all the jobs really, but I did enjoy the dental practice. I really did.
Well, what was about it that you enjoyed?
I think it was the people more than anything, because people people don't like dentists, do they?
No.
And I think when you can look after somebody and really calm them down, it gives you satisfaction that, that just take them into a room if they're really frightened and tell them, look, there's nothing to be frightened about. That's the part I enjoyed. Just meeting people, I think, and that was it.
So you mentioned Chris. How long did you know Chris for?
Well, it'd be 50 years, I would think. It'd be 50 years.
Because you guys had there was a certain chemistry between you two.
Oh, we bounced off one another. I would think he was my best friend, Chris was. And I joined a couple of years before him, the Operatic Society, and I can remember I went with Doreen when he went for his audition to join, and we could hear him singing God Save the King, or the Queen, sorry, God Save the Queen. So he got his audition, he got into the Operatic Society singing God Save the Queen. And Doreen was in as well, because I was a friend of Doreen's. And we all got on really well, and we did for years.
Because that was round about the 70s, wasn't it?
I can tell you exactly when it was, because my first show was Country Girl, was 1957. That was my first show, 57. Yeah. And I was in the chorus for that, and I've never been so frightened in my life.
Really?
I was petrified. I was petrified. Well, my mother had to get somebody to take me anyway, and I was 20, and I was frightened to death to go for an audition. And I can remember one or two were there that I didn't know, and they said, think we can sing together? So, well, we'll ask. So I said, can we just do this audition together? Of course you can. So we did. And we got in, all three of us. And then we were so excited, getting costumes and everything. It was a real experience, something I'd never experienced in my life, because my mother had taken me, she said, let's go and see one of the operatic shows. I think it was Rosa Marie. She says, right, why don't you join? I said, oh no, I couldn't do that, sing in front of people. She said, yes, you can. And she said, I know somebody will go along with you. And it was a friend of my mother's, and she said, come on, Jean, I'll go with you. I was 20, as soft as that. I couldn't even do that myself at 20. I look back and I think, you wimp.
But don't you think that was the level of innocence?
Well, it was, because we were young. Today, the young women, we were still kids at 20. We weren't grown up, because we were held back. Not held back, but you know what I mean? It wasn't like today, where they look grown up when they're at school. And life's changed. And I think they miss out on a lot, kids do today. They can't go out and play like we used to.
No, right. Well, let's just take one memory, one memory that you can remember, way back from the operatics, let's say.
Yeah.
First song you ever sang?
That would the first song. I think my first solo was in The King and I, when I played Lady Thiang, and it was Something Wonderful from The King and I. Beautiful song, beautiful song. That was my first big part. I played, Country Girl was my first, White Horse Inn, that was chorus, Gondoliers was chorus, Merry Widow was chorus, and The King and I. But White Horse Inn, I did have a small part with a goat. And I was called Zenzi the Goat Herd, and that was my first part. It was only a small part, but I didn't know that I'd got to look after the goat. And they said, and there was a man called Gretrix, Mr. Gretrix, and he lived down Cartergate, and he had a stable, and he said, you can bring that and you can stay with me overnight, but you must get it out in the morning. Well, I worked at Warwick's and Richardson's at this time, so I used to leave home, Carlton Road, on my bike in the morning, pick up the goat. This is when the show was on. Pick up the goat, and I used to walk with it to Warwick's and Richardson's. And my uncle who worked there, as I told you, the transport manager, he made a lead for it. So the goat got this lead on, and it could wander quite a way, all right, because there's a lot of grass around there, because it was near the Trent. And but then when I'd finished work, I used to walk then and tie him up outside the palace, go home for my tea, and come back again on my bike, ready for the show. But little did I know this goat had been eating grass, lovely grass, luscious grass, all day. So when he got on the stage, he was peeing and doing everything else. And they kept saying to me, what are you giving him to eat? I've not given him anything, he's just eating grass. Well, it's giving him too much. Every night it was weeing. And there were holes in those days in the stage. And it was going through into the dressing rooms. And the story goes that in the Dancing Girls, they got a bottle of lemonade with the lid off, and it was going... That was the story. That was the story. I don't know how true it was, but you know, I hated party with this goat. It was lovely. And they told me not to get a Billy, get a nanny, because Billy's smell. Of course, I wasn't going to get on my hands and knees and look what it was. So it was a Billy. So I used tons of talcum powder on it every night to get rid of the smell.
So you never tried to milk it?
No, No, my word, that would have been a shock getting hold of that lot.
You've got no milk. There's no milk. It's not coming. Give it a minute. Give it a minute.
Oh dear.
I don't know. It just seems that because you were part of that, the socialites, weren't you? Really?
Yes.
The 60s right the way through.
Yeah.
Because they were a special time, weren't they?
They were. I do believe we had the best years. I mean, it was my first against Chris was in King and I. He played the King. No, he didn't. Not that time. It was the second time, wasn't it? No, he wasn't the King the first one. Excuse me. I'm looking at this. So it's Carousel. No, cool. the first part I think I played because I was in had a part in Carousel, good part in Carousel, and Oklahoma. Blessed Bryce, South Pacific. So it wasn't until Annie Get Your Gun when I played opposite Chris. That was the first time, and that was hilarious.
Give us a story or two from that, because
I've heard them. I bet you have, because we had to go and learn how to fire a gun for a start. That was hilarious, where Gun was poking his gun. Happy days. And yeah, there's some good stories in, you know, especially the shoot-off. When you have to shoot up, when we're having this shoot-off in the show, and we're pointing the guns up like that. And then the matinee, they were throwing down pigeons, dead pigeons, and the last thing that came down was a frozen chicken. That was the dress rehearsal of King and I. It was hilarious. I had some good laughs with Chris. But I think the best thing, I enjoyed playing Dolly opposite Chris. He was brilliant. He was always good. And Kiss Me Kate. Now, the thing in Kiss Me Kate, it's like a show within a show. And we're having a bit of a fallout, Petruchio and Kate. And I've stopped looking at you, sorry. And anyway, this particular scene where I'd been really nasty to him and he wouldn't let me eat. And this was Saturday matinee. And I used to, when Chris wasn't looking, when Petruchio wasn't looking, he was busy eating, waiters were coming round with all this food, and I stole these sausages and I pushed them down the front of my dress. And little did I know that he'd had them in the freezer all night. So I got 8 links of sausages going down my front, frozen, And as they were going down, water was coming out the bottom.
Oh, no.
I think people must have thought I'd peed myself. And to pay him back, there's a scene where he hits me, but he doesn't. But then I have to hit him back, and I hit him. And his eyes went. I hit him that hard across the face. I didn't mean to hit him as hard as I did, but I did. And he couldn't remember what it had to prompt him because he didn't know what his next line was. He'd lost it. It was hilarious. Poor old Chris.
When did you realise you could sing?
When I used to go to Sunday school. What a good girl I was, going to Sunday school. And I was in the choir. And I liked singing. I really enjoyed singing. But I never had any training. But it just seemed to come natural, really. I was lucky. I know that my grandmother could sing. She got a beautiful contralto voice. And my mum's sister could sing. My mother could sing. But they never did anything about it in those days. So I think Mum was eager to push me as she pushed Yvonne eventually. And I enjoyed it. It's sort of, singing gives you freedom. I don't know why. You have that feeling. We were saying today when we were rehearsing, when you sing music, it really lifts you, you know. And to be able to do it, especially at my age, I'm so grateful. So grateful. I really am. And it's something to get out of bed for in the morning, isn't it, when you know you're going to rehearse. And we love it. We really love it.
So, I mean, excuse me. Your sister, you mentioned your sister.
Yes.
And you said Mum pushed her.
Yeah, she joined this operatic society. And she played... she was in South Pacific. She played Nellie Forbush in South Pacific. And she was brilliant. But we also belonged to the Gilbert and Sullivan Society in Lincoln. And there was a producer there called Leslie Branch, a professional producer. He used to produce for John... You know, what's his name? Anyway, he was a big producer. And he told Yvonne she ought to turn professional. And he got somebody to come down and listen to her, and they were impressed and told her, and she turned professional when she was 21.
Wow.
And she was in the West End in 1 or 2 shows, and she's still singing. Same, and her husband's a musical director. He was Frankie Vaughan's musical director. He's been with them all. My brother-in-law is the sort of man who won't tell you. He won't tell you until I ask him. Who else have you been with then? I've been in the pit with 2 Ronnies for a start. Because when we went to Palladium, my sister said, now Roy was here with the 2 Ronnies for a few at Palladium for quite a long time. And all sorts of people. But he's so modest, he didn't talk about it. It was, I can't remember them all now, but... So they're nice, because they're a duo. And
oh, really?
Yes, they're a duo now, although he's a jazz pianist, and he's got a good orchestra as well.
Is he playing Ronnie Scott?
Yeah. Yes, he's done Ronnie Scott. And now they do the hotels in Eastbourne.
Really?
Yep.
What's the
One particular one. It's the... Oh, they were there on Sunday. The Langham, on the front. They do Sunday lunch.
Right.
But he does concerts, and Yvonne sings with a big band, and he plays at the Grand on a Saturday night. Yes, it's so nice. The similarities.
Right.
You know, so I'm with Tony. He's a good pianist, and Roy he's very good too. Very good. He's a good jazz pianist.
So, because when did you and Tony get together?
2000.
How did that come about?
Well, I've known him. I knew him before, but not... We're at a party. I think it was Andrew Fearn's... It was the Millennium Party. And it's Chris Grant who said, why don't you two get together? You play and Jean can sing. So Tony looked at me and said, what do you think? I said, oh, could try, because I want that keen. I thought, Tony Whittaker, I don't think so. I knew he was a bit of a womaniser. I shouldn't have said that. He loved ladies. Anyway, we started, and I was going round to his place to rehearse, and of course I was doing songs from the shows because that's all I'd ever done. And he said, what about doing a bit of James Bond? I said, what? Don't think so. He said, have a try. So it makes me laugh because he said, do you realise when you were coming to me for rehearsals, it was getting later and later each week? I said, well, I wasn't particularly enjoying it because you were making me sing songs I wasn't used to. He said, well, you want to learn other things, get away from that a bit. So I thought, oh, better. He's not bad, really. And he always got the bottle out, we'd have a drink, and that used to loosen my tongue up a bit, and then... So I eventually, yes, he's right. And I started singing other songs, which I do really enjoy, actually, now. But I still like to get some of the song shows in, because I find it now, at my age, songs I did years ago, I don't need the words, I can remember. But something new, I've got to have them there. I think it's just a safety net.
But that's incredible, isn't it? You think, the age you are, yeah, all those years ago, what, 40, 50 years ago?
Yes.
And you can still remember those
I can still remember those.
It's incredible,
yeah, without words, yeah. But anything new, you can't.
No.
Strange, that.
Well, I know what you're saying. I mean, some of the new stuff that's out.
Yeah.
I mean, did you like the new music?
Not really. I like... For instance, we're doing a lot of Petula Clark stuff this time.
All right, yeah.
Which is good. And, well, Tom Jones would do some of his stuff. All different... We do it across the genre, really, you know, all sorts of stuff, really. Funny songs. And it's good to have a good mixture. And the audiences we get are our age anyway, so we know they're going to enjoy it because they'll remember what we do. They'll remember the songs.
Yeah. When's your next show?
October the 5th.
Where at?
Winthorpe Community Centre. We've done it there for the last 2 or 3 years, and there's good parking, and we always give them a glass of wine. That loosens them up for the second part. But we've got a good following. We really have. We're so lucky.
If there was one thing that you could pass on from your vast experience, what would it be to a youngster nowadays that may be looking to go into theatre?
I think you've got to be dedicated to what you're doing. You can't mess about. You've got to, if you want to do something, you've got to go out for it. Do it. Don't just sit back and think, I can't do that. Anything's possible if you make yourself do it. If you want to do something really badly. I can remember they decided to do the show Mame, and I thought I'd kill for that part. And I really went for it and thought, I've got to get this part. And I spent hours going through the libretto, getting it really spot on. And it works. If you try hard enough, you can do anything.
Who was you up against?
I can't remember now. Mel. There were 6 of us. Mel Brown, she was then. I think Georgina. I can't honestly remember, but there's quite a few.
What did she say?
I was thrilled to bits to get it, because it was a hell of a part.
When was your last show?
My last show was... I tell you what I did enjoy. I enjoyed... I'll tell you in a minute. I did South Pacific again, didn't I? Wait a minute. Anything goes. The Full Monty, I love that. I just loved that. With a fag hanging out my mouth, playing the piano, it was great. 42nd Street, that's Full Monty, Jesus Christ. My last one was Me and My Girl in 2012. That was my last show, Me and My Girl.
That was with Lee, wasn't it? Was Lee in it?
Not that one. Don't think it was in that one. It was on the... We've done that twice.
Oh, no, you're right. It was later.
Done that twice. Yes, that was...
Yeah.
Yes, that was 2012. That's when I decided to, you know, enough was enough. I wanted to leave knowing I could still sing and not let myself down. And that was my last part and last show. In a way, I wanted to leave because Chris had gone, a lot of the old school had gone, a lot of them had... And it wasn't the same anymore. It had lost that appeal to me then. It wasn't the same to have the same characters around you, but I enjoyed the years I was in it. It gave me a lot. It taught me a lot, and I did learn a lot from it in lots of ways.
Jean, thank you very much.
It's been a pleasure, a real pleasure. It's nice to think about things again, recall them. It's lovely. Thank you.